Hello and welcome to Hear These Words, a podcast and video series from Good Shepherd Episcopal Church in sunny Florida. I'm Sanford Groff.
I'm Alex Sarah
I should
Wolfington.
include my name, and every week on the podcast, this is a one-take wonder show, folks. We're not doing it again. Every week on the podcast, we take a look at the readings assigned for the upcoming Sunday, and it is the fifth Sunday of Easter,
Yes.
Year A, and the words we hear are John 14, 1 through 14, Acts 7, 55 through 60, portions of Psalm 31, and then 1 Peter 2, 2 through 10. Happy day.
Happy day. Here we are.
I'm here, but technically I'm in Spain,
Yes.
right at this. When this airs, I will not be in the country. So blessings, you're with Father Cook, and actually your last Sunday
Was last Sunday.
By the time this airs, it will have been
last Sunday.
Yeah, Easter 4.
And
so
we're not jealous of you. We're happy for you that you're
yes.
going to be traveling.
Yeah, happy
God's
and
great
jealousy,
world.
I guess,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
hand
No,
in
it's
hand.
great.
But
It's
that's
great.
great. No, I'll be back. I'll be back the next week, so
Yeah.
it'll be great.
Yeah,
But I'm glad we
absolutely.
could do this together. So
Me
thank you for coming in
too, yeah,
early.
of
I know
course.
you'll be gone. What are you doing? We're going to miss you this summer. Maybe we can do a guest
you.
appearance over Zoom or something.
that'd
but
be fun.
Tell us where
I
you're
would do that.
going and what you're doing.
I'll be in New York for a week, the 17th to the 23rd, to go to seminary in New York City on the campus of General Theological Seminary. But then I will be in the great state of Maine at the hospital in Portland doing my required chaplaincy program
Right.
for 400 hours in about 90 days.
Clinical
So if
pastoral
you need to
education.
Find me, you
We've
know
all done
exactly
it.
where I'll be.
Yes, the clergy have all done clinical pastoral education,
Yes.
and it is everyone has an opinion about it.
Yes.
You develop a strong opinion
One way or the other.
way or the other. And I did
Yeah.
mine over the summer as well, an
You did the
intensive.
intensive, yeah.
I did the intensive
And
at
it's
Duke
intense.
Hospital.
Yeah.
And it's intense. You do
Yeah.
every day, and then you do a number of overnights. At least I did
Yeah.
a number of overnight
Night shifts.
Night shifts. Yeah.
Night and weekend shifts.
Yep.
The only thing I'm worried about is being in that much fluorescent lighting.
Yeah.
That is, it's so, I know I'm going to be facing really horrible scenarios and really
Right.
grief-stricken families, and I'm really stressed about the lighting. That's
Yeah.
really what
It's a great place to be stressed.
I
You're
love
ready.
pastoral care stuff, so
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be filling for me, but the lighting is
Yeah.
my
You have to.
biggest
So what you have to do is you have to go in and you have to talk to the patient, and then
Yeah.
you visit a
Or
lot of people
family.
or whoever it is, and then you have to prepare for your group session with the other chaplains who are student chaplains and a facilitator.
Yes.
And at least back in the day, you wrote a verbatim
That's
of
what we
the
do.
encounter. So you
Yes.
actually write up what happened. And you try to be as kind of factual and accurate as you can in terms of the back and forth conversation. And then you have to do this like analysis. Now you don't have to do that with every person you visit, but you have to pick out a few for every meeting you have. So
Sounds just like what they've told us we'll be doing. So
It's great.
I'll report back. Maybe we can
It's
do
great.
a check-in, like you said, and I'll let you know how it's going.
we should definitely
I'll
do
be
that.
outside in the sun though when
We
I
should
do that.
definitely do
to
that.
compensate.
I would love it. Okay.
Thank you.
Blessings on your trip.
Thank
We'll miss
you,
you
and
around
on
here,
yours,
and then
and on yours.
you'll be back in the fall, and we're
Yes.
very excited for your return.
The
So
plan is first week
enjoy.
of September,
Yep.
weather permitting.
Great.
So we'll see with the drive with the Bulldogs
Great.
convey.
Perfect.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Here we go.
John 14, 1 through 14. This is actually a passage that we use in the funeral liturgy often. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places or rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And then on and on and on it goes. Two other parts, believe me that I am in the Father and the Father is in me, but if you do not, then believe me because of the works themselves. I'd love to talk about that. And then, very truly I tell you, the one who believes in me will also do the works that I do, and in fact will do greater works than these, because I am going to the Father. I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If in my name you ask for anything, I will do it, which I have to start with this one.
Okay, do
I'm
it.
going to start at the end. And I knew this passage quite well when I was in college.
Okay.
And I thought, I've preached about this, so some of you already know this, but in college there was like normal parking and then there was Siberia parking.
Yeah.
We called it Siberia because it was this
So
like
far.
lot. this is in rural Pennsylvania. Like
Okay.
this was like this lot like past the like boiler house or whatever.
Sure.
And so I would pray in Jesus' name that I would get a parking space close to the dorm.
Would it work?
It worked sometimes, and then other times it didn't work. And I was like, I don't think this is how you're supposed to interpret this passage. If you ask for anything,
Anything
I
at
will
all.
do it.
Right.
Give me this parking spot.
Right.
I don't think that's.
It's not literal. Yet
I-
again, the
I-
Bible's not literal.
I think we're not supposed to read that part literally.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, yes, I agree.
But my 20-year-old self was like, and this was like winter in Pennsylvania, it's freezing,
Yeah.
and I'm parking in this gravel lot, like this lot had like 100 rows. Like it was a big,
Yes.
they just like paved over this field with gravel
Sure.
and put up a chain link fence, and they
Sure.
like were like, there, you go park over there, like freshmen or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
That's uncool, but
Anyway, help us out.
understandable.
Help us understand
I mean, I
this.
have many thoughts about this one. The first thing I have to say is that Thomas, again, is doubting Thomas
Doubting
in this
Thomas.
passage. And again, Jesus' brother, so I just love the family.
Right.
You know, kind of dynamic there, where Thomas says to him, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? And Jesus says to him, I am the way,
Right.
the truth,
Right.
and the life. And no one comes to the Father except through me. And that, you know, again, we've talked a lot this semester about, or this last, whatever it's been, since September, about the Trinitarian theology that continues to pop up. And this is Jesus with a nod to that which we pull from, right? But I also love when he says, in my Father's house, there are many dwelling places.
Yep.
And to me, because he's saying, would I not have said that I would prepare a place for you? And we all live so many different lives. We all live so many different life structures and come from so many different places and have had so many experiences. And to know that there's a room for each of us is so reassuring and really beautiful, I think, and gives us all this sense of home that we share. That's really beautiful. So that's where I start with this piece. But
Right.
there's so much. I mean, there's so much. And the other thing is that the works themselves, believe in me, I'm the Father, and the Father is in me. If you do not, then believe me because of the works themselves. And so this is a great passage to refer to when I'm talking with some of my atheist friends who are like,
Right.
yeah, and it really conjures up for me. I don't know if you saw the interview with the astronauts that just came back.
I didn't see it, but
There's this beautiful moment where one of the lead astronauts is like, we got on the Navy ship after we landed back on Earth. He said, and I'm not a religious guy, but for some reason, I asked to see the chaplain. He said, and the chaplain walked up, and I saw that cross, and I just broke down sobbing. He said, because, you know, basically he said, I'm a science guy, but there's no way to, the astronaut that just got back said,
yeah.
there's no way to explain all this.
right.
Like, there's no
Right.
way. And then his fellow astronaut was like, well, I am a religion guy. It's a great interview. He's like, and I broke down too. Like, it was
Right.
really, it's this incredible, look at all the works around us. And even the
Right.
astronauts that are, you know, humans of science minds, at some point cry uncle and are like,
Right.
okay, you know, someone
I
assembled
can't-
this whole
right.
operation here.
I can't hold it all in my own head,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm gonna send you some of those
Yeah.
interviews. It's beautiful.
That's
so.
great. I'm glad you raised up Thomas to start with
Yeah.
because that connection is a good connection, and he asks basically a very nuts and bolts question, right? Like, we don't know where you're going. How in the world can we know the way? And he's reading it very literally, right? It's a literal kind of read, and Jesus does this very funny thing. You know, I am the way. I embody the way. My whole being is the way at some level. And John tends to do this move into further, his high Christology, his move and comfort with abstraction, and that Jesus himself becomes the way and the truth and the life. And it's I would say that even in today's day and age, even in our Christianity that is 2,000 years in and kind of theologically, we've gone over these paths many, many, many times theologically. I still think that's actually a pretty radical thing to say. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who says something like that, where, I mean, maybe there are a couple people, but in general, when we say, "Oh, where are you going?" there are a lot of different ways to answer that. I mean, you can even answer kind of metaphorically, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I've been in a dark place and I'm going to the light, right? Mm-hmm. Or, oh, I've been in the valley and, you know, I hope to be on the mountain soon. Like, we can speak comfortably in that kind of metaphor register, but this takes us to this whole new level of like, Jesus himself is the way. And he's not saying that as a means of being exclusive. That's not a way to put up a boundary. It's actually an invitation to join him in this life, right? In this truth, in this way.
And it's, you know, his way is the way of love, right? Like to quote our former presiding bishop, Michael Curry.
Right.
But I mean, that is the thing. That's the way. And I think that's what Jesus is trying to tell us here, that only in love is their truth, only in love is their life.
Right.
And only through him coexisting with the Father and the Holy Spirit is their love. And so it's really simple yet complex.
Yes.
But it boils down to just, Father Jim is always saying, you know, my way is just really simple. It's just about love.
It's about love.
That's my theology. And it's just so well said here.
I mean, Jesus then, you know, Philip kind of pushes him on it. Show us the Father and we will be satisfied. So at some level, the disciples here are not satisfied, right? Yeah. They're like,
not enough, sir.
This is great, but like explain yourself a little bit more. And okay, show us the Father, fine. Well, Jesus kind of, this is where my second little quote earlier comes in. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father is in me. But if you do not, then believe me because of the works themselves. So he gives us a strategy for trust, right? Like, here's the reality of it. But if that's hard to fathom, then latch onto the things that we've done together. Latch onto the works, the miracles, the signs, the wonders. They are in your midst. And I think that's a fair way to kind of slice it. If you know, people who are deep in grief, for instance, part of the grief can sometimes compound because their grief has extended over a period of time. And so they finally kind of learn how to be lifted up because they're making it through this one particular day or one particular hour or one particular moment. And that step gives them the confidence to then take another step, right? And it becomes this almost granular kind of moment by moment to get through whatever the grief is. And I think Jesus is kind of saying something similar. If you can't handle the whole kit and caboodle, at least just start with like something that you saw or something that you experienced that was divine.
And we're surrounded by it.
All the time.
We're surrounded by it.
All the time.
And in that way, you know, we say a lot, Jesus meets us where we are. And that is profound, because God wanted us to be met where we were. And so he sent us his only son to meet us in that place of grief, to meet us in that place of desperation. He always has something for us. And we just have to believe that he is there with us. And in some ways, it's blind faith, and in some ways, it's informed faith too. Because just look at the world around us and the people we have in our lives. And
in another way, it's a productive faith. And he extends that then to say, okay, well, believe in the works themselves. And what I'm telling you is that with me, you're going to actually do these things too, right? So not just the works that I did 2,000 years ago in front of X number of people, but that the works are going to be performed by the followers, the disciples, those who are part of Jesus's way, truth, and life will actually do that too. That's where I think it's not about parking lots. It's about so many other things that we end up doing with our own hands, with our own life, and with our collective kind of following of Jesus.
And it's such a relief that, for example, when we look at our food pantry, we look at our
Mm-hmm.
things here, all of our different ministries, the fact that it's really God's work that's happening.
Right.
It's not our work. What a
Right.
relief that is.
It is a
'Cause
relief.
God's working
Right.
through us, and we don't have to do any
Right.
thinking. We just have to show up and do the next right thing.
And
those are the works.
That work becomes a witness, a testimony
Yes.
to Jesus in our midst, or us in
Yes.
Jesus's life, right?
Yes.
And that, I think that becomes another point of, I don't know if you want to call it confirmation, but that witness becomes a moment of evangelism to the world.
Testimony.
Testimony is a good word to use for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Beautiful.
Little heavy John for us,
Heavy, but I love.
we love
I
it.
love.
You're a John.
I am a giant.
Great.
Can't help it.
Acts
Okay.
7,
Yeah.
55 to 60. This is the stoning of Stephen. We move from beautiful
Love
acts
and
of
light.
love and light
There's a
to
room
a
for
fairly
you.
violent moment in the early church where Stephen is, being kind of singled out, and they end up stoning him to death. And we looked it up.
We looked it up because I was
Yes.
like, what did he do? I can't remember. And so,
Right.
Why did he get killed? And first of all, Stephen is Christianity's first martyr, which is a fun little trivia fact.
Right.
But he spoke of Jesus and his belief in Jesus. And when they questioned him, he just kept revealing his faith. And the final straw was when he said that he saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. And that is what made him deserve to be stoned in
Right.
the eyes of the,
The crowd.
well, no, wasn't it the
Sanhedrin.
Sanhedrin.
Yep. Sanhedrin. Interestingly, there are two things. First, we have an epiphanal moment. So, filled with the Holy Spirit, Stephen gazed into heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God, right? Look, he said, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. So he has this kind of moment of vision, and he shares it out loud. And then it says, but they covered their ears and with a loud shout rushed against him. So he was witnessing, testifying to what he was seeing, and they were not having it. And then in the last kind of dying breath, he cries out in a loud voice, Lord, do not hold this sin against them. So in that moment, he has mercy on them, which I think is kind of a profound move. He, at some level, forgives them and walks and dies in faith.
And was it Matthew where those were Jesus' last words on the cross?
Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I don't know if it was
I
Matthew
don't
or
know if it was
not.
Matthew, but I have to look up. But one of the last things Jesus is also have said,
Right.
as he died. So
Right.
it's a mirroring of that as
Right.
well, forgiveness as a last act. Yes.
I'd prefer if we didn't stone each other. That'd be my request.
I mean,
Yeah. But
lots of thoughts. I won't go down that
Yeah,
rabbit hole. But
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
stoning bad.
stoning bad. Thank
Stoning
you.
bad.
Psalm 31. I don't have anything to say about this, but we say this during Compline.
And we say it during our blessing of birthdays and anniversaries.
Yes, we
Our
do.
times are in your hands.
Our times are in your hands.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
That's right. Again, Jim was talking earlier at last week's episode about the prayer book having all sorts of scripture in it. It's a rich, rich source of scripture.
Yes,
So.
absolutely.
1 Peter 2 through 10, we're kind of working our way through Peter. We get a very famous line in here that Peter is quoting. The stone that the builders rejected has become the very head of the corner, or the chief cornerstone. And then my favorite, once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy.
I have to point out just a little feminist biblical moment here in the very
Great.
first line. Like newborn infants, long for the pure spiritual milk. And that's just a really beautiful tie-in to that which mothers produce, and that which sometimes it's glossed over.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
just because of who held the pen a whole lot of
With
times.
a lot
but
of masculine imagery.
just a
Here
lot
we
of
have
masculine-
a feminine imagery.
we
that
do have a
is-
little bit, and it's
Yeah.
lovely.
Yep.
So, and through that, like love and spiritual milk, you grow into salvation, you grow into health, and you grow into your own exhibit of love in our world. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to, once you were not a people, but now you are God's people, right? Like newborn who long for pure spiritual milk. This is part. It's part of recognizing who we are. It's part of recognizing what is in our midst, of being aware of the signs, right, of the wonders, the works, as Jesus says. And then it's about being fed, and through that feeding, our desire changes, right? We long now, in this case, spiritual milk, but other ways of putting that, long and thirst for righteousness, that our desires themselves actually change over the course of our faith and over the course of our life, because we're kind of being fed. I'll tell you a very, very brief story about beef, of all things. I was really into beef. Well, I'm always into
You're a
beef.
steak eater.
I'm a steak guy. I really belong in like Kansas or Nebraska.
No,
but
you don't. You belong right here.
next to
we
the
would
ocean.
not be happy without
yes,
you.
of course. But I many years ago, kind of when the grass-fed movement was starting. Which the grass-fed movement is actually like just the natural thing that happens. Like the whole feeding
We're
corn.
reverting back to how it should be.
Feeding cows corn is really like a 1960s,
50s, 60s,
50s,
70s,
60s,
factory farming
like get
move.
going. But that's what I grew up with. So
Yeah,
I'm used to eating a corn-fed or corn-finished cow. And so when this grass-fed thing came, into supermarkets, I was like, well, I got to try this, and I don't like it. It's too herbal, and like it's very kind of almost gamey and I was like, oh, I remember I was a teacher in Baltimore, and I made some for my students, and like we did a taste test. And we have been, over time, the consumer has been cultivated, our taste buds have been cultivated to desire that corn-finished beef and not kind of what
it's supposed to taste like.
Naturally it would taste like without human intervention, right? It would be quite gamey and quite grassy and quite herbaceous.
Earthy.
A little earthy. And that's the same thing that we're doing with Christianity, with faith. It's that we're being fed, and in feeding and eating that, our desire begins to change a bit.
Yes.
And we long instead for Jesus's way and his truth and his life. So
I think I mentioned to you, after Holy Week, I know I mentioned this to you, after Holy Week, I was so craving like coming to church every single day. And it was
because you would come every day, right?
Right, I'd come multiple times a day, right? We did 9 services in 4 days, I counted. And the more I'm in church, the more I want to be in church. And it's like quitting something that's good for you. It's like when you don't have time to exercise all of a sudden, but you did have a lot of time, your body kind of is in this uncomfortable ick place. And for me, the more I'm being fed and nourished in spiritual community, the more I need to be fed and nourished in spiritual community. And I've always just been fascinated by people who live in spiritual community, monastics or, whatever, being a nun or a priest, or, a brother, or whatever it is. And I can really understand that once you're in that, it's so, it's a different way of thinking and living. And if you've ever, I did a couple of, I think 3 silent yoga retreats that were 4 days long each. And man, you re-enter society and it's like
disorienting.
The phone's going off and like the radio's on and you're like somehow feeling the microwaves in the air that you're not even aware of before you go to the top of the mountain for 4 days and you come back and you have a headache all of a sudden. And it's like that, it's that kind of reorienting. So how can we balance all of that which is so good for us with that which we have to live with?
Yeah.
Yeah. As householders, as the yogis say.
It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I think that's a good stopping point for us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Blessings
having
this
me.
summer. We
Thank
look forward
you.
to having you Zoom in and give us an
Yes.
update. So we'll keep you in our prayers as you head to Maine
you.
and to New
I'll
York
take
before
'em.
that. And blessings at the end of the semester with all the exams and papers coming up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take them all.
And thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Hear These Words. We hope that you'll join us on Sunday for this worship service online or in person, however you want to join us. It's always good to be together. And now that we've spent this time together, we hope that you feel a little more prepared to hear these words. We'll see you soon.